expressions to express. Nuance. Now, what is nuance? Let's talk about that first.
Okay.
Nuance, as it states here, it's a subtle difference in or shade of meaning, expression, or sound.
Okay.
Okay. Nuance can be similar to a distinction, can be similar to a difference, to a shade, to a shading, gradation. In Spanish, a similar word, it's not a translation, it's not a direct translation, but nuance is like a matiz.
Okay.
You know, it's like a very subtle difference
Okay.
in shade, meaning, expression, or sound. So
Okay.
it's,
Shape.
in my opinion, this is when I first learned about this word, I think for me it was like a new concept altogether, not a new word, but a new idea in my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nuance. I believe this movie is the perfect example of this. There's
Mm.
many nuances in
Mm.
every single area of life and living in the world and everything.
Mm. Mm.
So to express nuance, of course, there are many tools in the language, but some of them come in the form of phrases or adverbs. Let's talk
Okay.
about two. We're going to talk about on the other hand and however. We're going to start with these two. Could you
Okay.
read the meaning for however and also the example, please?
Yeah. Used to introduce contrasting point of view, fact, or situation. Being a child star is bittersweet. One hand,
And
on one hand, you're loved by millions, but on the other hand, you're forever remembered for what you did years ago.
okay. Is
Okay.
there new vocabulary in this?
Yeah, bittersweet.
Mm. Bitter means amargo.
Okay.
Sweet means dulce. So bittersweet is like what we say in Spanish, agridulce.
Okay.
But bitter by itself means amargo. Like, when you drink, I don't know, a very strong coffee and it's bitter.
Mm, okay.
So
Okay.
bitter means amargo. Like bitter
Okay.
coffee or I don't know, a bitter taste in your mouth, bitter. So
Okay.
bittersweet, agridulce. We translate it. We don't say amargo dulce, but that's the.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
So in this expression, we have being a child star. It's very, very bittersweet. And you have these two contrasting points of view or situations. On one hand, you were loved by millions. On the other, you're
Mm-hmm.
forever remembered for what you did years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Contrasting. Everyone loves you, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone reminds you of things that you did when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens.
Okay.
It's important to know that this expression uses on because it's like you are putting ideas on your hands like such.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So on one hand, on the other.
Yeah.
They don't come in parts, like in pairs, sorry. They don't necessarily come in pairs. The expression is on the other hand. You don't necessarily have to say on one hand to begin with.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
important.
Mhm.
You
Okay.
can, but you don't have to. You can omit, you know, being a child star is bittersweet. You're loved by
Mm-hmm.
millions, but on the other
Yeah.
hand,
Okay.
okay? So you can use these two in pairs or just on the other hand.
Okay.
Then we have also, however, can you read the meanings and the examples, please?
Yes. Used to introduce a statement that contrasts with or seems to contradict something that has been said previously. Example, people tend to put on weight in middle age. However, gaining weight is not inevitable. Okay.
And the other, please.
In whatever way, regardless of how. However, you look at it, you can criticize that. Okay, okay.
Now, this second use is a little bit different. It's not, as you can see, it's not talking about contrast or anything, about nuance. It's another use, but I thought I could include it to, yeah, see how however is different than on the other hand. Because as you can see, both of them are used to give some sort of contrast. Contrast for on the other hand, and contrast for however. However, we don't necessarily replace one with the other, right?
Okay.
In this case, being a child star is bittersweet on one, well, I'm gonna omit on one hand in this case. You're loved by millions. However, you're forever remembered for what you did years ago. This is
Okay.
possible. The message is the same.
Okay, okay.
People tend to put on weight in middle age. However, gaining weight is not inevitable. Now, let's take a look at this example. People tend to put on weight in middle age. Put on weight is like subir,
To be
the
okay.
put on weight in middle age. On the other hand, gaining weight is not inevitable. Nope. We cannot replace in this case with on the other hand, because you are not contradicting anything. In this case, with on the other hand, you have two very opposing views. Like one cancels the other. However, doesn't necessarily do that. You can contrast two things, but it is also possible to just mention these alternatives in a way.
Okay, 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 okay.
Now let's go a little bit deeper on these two. We're gonna check out some more examples. Okay, here. On the other hand, introduces a second or contrasting point of view. It's two sides that are being compared, and it's conversational. However, I need to change something here. Wait. Okay. However, on the other hand, it's also, well, second contrasting point, two sides compare, but it's a bit more formal than on the other hand.
Okay, okay.
Let's take a look at the examples. First, on the other hand, could you read these two, please?
Yes, the movie had excellent visual effects. On the other hand, the plot was confusing. Okay. I love visiting big cities. On the other hand, I enjoy the calmness of small towns. Okay, okay.
Okay. So we are comparing, we are contrasting. However, this is, on the other hand, the first one gives you two contrasting things. It had excellent visual effects, but the plot was confusing. So basically, the movie was good, but the plot, it was confusing. So it's like, but. Okay. Then the next one. I love visiting big cities. On the other hand, I enjoy the calmness of small towns. Does this idea, the second, sorry, not this, but does this idea, I enjoy the calmness of small towns, does this cancel the first idea?
No, no,
Not
no,
really.
no.
It's showing an alternative in a way, but it doesn't completely cancel. It's just, oh, I love big cities and I love small towns.
No.
That's it. Now, however, let's take a look at this ones. Can you read the examples first, please?
Yes, the movie had great visual effects. However, the plot was confusing.
Hmm?
Okay. I love visiting big cities. However, I find the noise overwhelming at times. Okay.
Mhm. So in this case, however, is kind of canceling the other idea, you see? I love visiting big cities. Like, yeah, I like them, but I don't know. The noise, I don't like it so much. So this is saying like I love big cities, but I don't.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's not
Yeah.
giving an alternative like, oh, I love big cities and I love small towns. This is like, I love big cities, but no, not so much. Like, I can't.
Okay.
So, what are the differences between these two? Because they seem too similar, but there are some differences. First, we have comparison and we have contradiction. On the other hand, is used when you're comparing two opposing or different sides, perspectives, or options, right?
Okay.
You are comparing uh, two sides.
Okay.
However, is more about presenting a contrast or a contradiction to the previous statement. It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily imply a comparison,
Mm,
okay? So basically, we have, on the other hand, there's comparing.
comparing.
And then, however, is for a contrast or contradiction.
Okay.
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 Both of them contrast. They
Mm-hmm.
both contrast. But on the other hand, compares and,
Okay.
however, contradicts.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
again, both contrast, both of them can contrast or show a contrast. On the other hand, compares, however, contradicts
Okay.
the
Okay.
previous statement.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As for the position and tone of these two, the more practical things, on the other hand, is used as an idea, is used after an idea has been introduced and works best in situations where you are presenting an alternative or opposite side.
Okay.
And the position is really important. Something has been said before. You cannot start a sentence with, on the other hand, you have to
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
have some
Mm-hmm.
context there.
Okay.
And however, can be a bit more flexible in that way. This can be used at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end of a sentence, and it's a stronger contrast.
Mm,
Okay.
okay. Okay. Okay. I think it's my sentences are too large, but
It's okay. Can I hear them?
yes. The first one. Um, I love working in advertising. However, sometimes I think it's very superficial ambient or weather. I'm not sure.
You can say, wait,
Or
yeah, no, it's not ambience and it's not weather. It
um,
can be
mm,
superficial. Wait,
mhm. Maybe
hang on.
or cycle. No, it's I don't
Yeah,
know
like I
the
guess you could say
community.
a
No,
very superficial. I guess I'm looking, but
yeah, yeah.
environment would be better.
Environment. Yeah, environment.
Environment.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's okay.
Okay, and the other one is when a film receive uh, an award, it's
Mhm.
important because give the exposure. But in the other hand, doesn't means or don't means
Doesn't mean.
doesn't mean yeah that doesn't mean that the film is nice.
Yeah, I like that. Can you repeat that second example so I can
Yeah,
copy it?
When a film receives award or some award or
An award.
an award, it's important because I know give the exposure, give it the or give it or I
Give just exposure, not the
give exposure. Okay, yeah. Give exposure, but in the other hand,
on the other hand.
but on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that the film is nice or yeah or
Yeah, yeah.
oh, nice.
Nice is okay.
Okay.
When a film receives an award, it's important because it
It,
it gives exposure. It referring to
yeah,
receiving an award. It
yeah,
gives
yeah, yeah.
exposure. Mm-hmm. Whoops, it gives exposure. What did I do? What did I do? Okay. It gives exposure, but on the other hand, it doesn't mean that the film is nice. Yeah.
Mm.
That's it. Your examples are correct. I think you got the point or the difference in these two. Now, again, on the other hand, talks about alternative or comparison and contradiction. Sorry, contradiction. However, is more about a contradiction. In my examples, I'm talking about the characters. So
Okay.
Edward is a very shy person. He doesn't like being touched and tries his best to not interact with people. On the other hand, Oswald is outgoing, friendly, and fearless. Because I'm comparing these two characters, right?
Okay.
Or I'm
Mhm.
talking about their alternative situations and lives. They have the same condition, I suppose,
Mhm.
but they are different. They're alternative in how they react
Yeah,
and
yeah.
coexist in the world, right?
Mhm. Okay.
And then, as a contradiction, however, Edward really strives for companionship and wants to connect with Ingrid. However, he is afraid and insecure. So, this is a contradiction. He wants to be with Ingrid, he likes her, but
Mhm.
he's afraid and he's insecure and
Yeah.
he he makes some really questionable decisions, I think. Like, what did you think about him? Did you feel empathy for him? Did you like him? Do you think he's a good person or not?